This video is going to focus on how the Detroit Lions defense is continuing to rely on Aidan Hutchinson to get pressure on the quarterback in obvious or known passing situations. He had 1 sack, I think 5 quarterback hits, of course 2 sacks wiped off the board, unfortunately, in Detroit's 37-24 win over the Bengals. I'll have some thoughts on the two-man concept that Kelvin Shepard is using so often in third down situations, and a projection of how the Chiefs might try to attack it, why it's working, and how it's really helping out players like Alex Anzalone, Amik Robertson, and Terrion Arnold. I think I've got 8 plays queued up for you here. We're going to start on the first possession. Of course, this is the unfortunate situation where Hutchinson himself lines up offsides to negate one of his sacks. I believe his left hand is just past the line of scrimmage to gain, or excuse me, the line of scrimmage, the 36-yard line, the negative 36. It's a really cool outside spin after an inside rush. I believe this is hard-coded to the top side for Barnes to give Hutchinson the ability to spin outside or rush inside or outside as he wishes. Took advantage of both tackles yesterday for the Bengals. The two-man coverage concept for the Lions is really giving the safeties an opportunity to take away routes, whether it's the first in-breaking route or deeper concepts to guys like Jamar Chase or T. Higgins. I'll give the end zone angle of this one. Unfortunate moment at that point in time, his second sack that was wiped away so far in the 2025 season. But I love this stance, and I talked about it in a film study video last week. Tilted down, kind of angled towards the ground, if you will. I think it's given him a better get-off. I don't know what the get-off numbers are. Statistically, crossing the line of scrimmage, getting to 1 yard depth, or however people want to measure it. In my opinion, what Hutchinson would really benefit from is some consistent pass rush from the other side. And in this case, at least at minimum, they're giving Barnes a hard-coded rush to basically hold the top side and not allow Browning to escape in the other direction. Jack Campbell lining up to occupy the right guard, but he's got the running back Samaj Pirine in man-to-man. Really cool spin, like I said, because he goes upfield with a step first and then goes to the inside. So he establishes, he basically crosses up the right tackle twice. Once here, and then a second time spinning back around to go finish off Browning. He's playing at an incredibly high level. I think he's playing at a similar level to what we saw early in 2024. Officially, I think at this point, 5 sacks through 5 games, 12 quarterback hits. He's got all the moves, right? He can deploy any of them as he wishes. Unfortunately, he's lost 3 sacks this year. 1 more will come in this game. Moving to the fourth possession, 2nd and 8. This is going to be another negated sack. In fact, I think it's a penalty up top on Terrion Arnold. But here's the stunt that's being utilized. So the defensive tackle is going to work to the top side, basically take over the left tackle, and Hutchinson's going to jump underneath. And then he's just too athletic and too quick for the left guard. So Browning is definitely looking to the top side, and there is certainly some contact. I think it's a little bit of a soft call, but really, if you want to take responsibility for it, you just have to stop grabbing so consistently. Refs watch film too, and they're seeing these things. And so, do they come into games with a predisposition to call flags on Arnold or other players? Sure, they very well might. But when you put these things on film, you're giving them an opportunity. Jamar Chase is obviously, very physical as well. Very late flag, I thought, here. And you can even see it from the all-22 angle. The play is over, and then all of a sudden a flag almost looks like it's thrown in from the stands or something. It's very deep down the field. Hutchinson with a great move, I think that, deserves at least some mention or some discussion, and that's why I included it, even though it doesn't officially count. So here's the stunt that they're running again. He's going upfield and then underneath. Campbell is once again man on the running back. Anzalone steps out to the tight end, but then kind of zones off. Really confusing to me that the Bengals did this so much early. Orlando Brown can't play out of this stance, number one. I think that appears obvious to me. But the center stepping away basically made it a 2-on-2 to one side. And in this case, the stunt perfectly opens up that lane, that A-gap side to our right, the defense's right. With the center stepping away from that direction, it's really quite easy for Hutchinson to get this accomplished. The end zone ref actually reached for his flag for a moment when Hutchinson grabbed the face mask briefly. You can see right here, he kind of starts to reach for it and then decides against it. Unfortunate that Arnold is called there, whether it's a soft call or shouldn't be a flag thrown, whatever. It would have been 16-0, regardless of what we think about it. Huge missed opportunity And in my opinion, the Lions have to clean some of this up. Bigger than just Terrion Arnold. Brian Branch has had one or two penalties that have negated big plays on the defensive side. And in fact, even in situations where he's not targeted, the Lions play a physical brand of defense. And Kelvin Shepard's doing a great job. It's working out. The scheme, the adjustments that he's making during the game, I think have been, damn near perfect at times. But those things have to get cleaned up a little bit because they're going to come back to haunt you. This is an opportunity to talk about Terrion Arnold in off coverage. Do I think that it's going to fix all of his problems? No, I don't know. This is same possession, I believe, by the way. And the Lions are still up 14-0. They're blitzing Campbell this time. So he crosses over the midline. So he crosses over the defensive tackle, which is, ironically, it's Muhammad. I think Muhammad, or I wonder if Muhammad's supposed to get more oriented to this gap here. But in any case, it's a topside rush by Hutchinson, kind of disappearing underneath of Orlando Brown, if you will. And then here's the way that the routes work. Browning is definitely looking to this bottom side. In cut by the outside receiver, and then Jamar Chase on a deeper route that ends up bringing him right into Terrion Arnold. Those guys are both making contact with each other. When I say both making contact with each other, I'm talking about Chase and Terrion Arnold. Is a really nice play. I think he had 2 passes defensed on consecutive snaps. I do wonder if he would be better in off coverage at times, but the Lions system, is kind of predicated on press man, specifically on third downs. Really great opportunity to make a play here on the football. Basically out efforts Jamar Chase. And I thought Terrion Arnold, Amik Robertson, even Rock Ya-Sin, I thought that their effort, their output of energy was just greater than the Bengals receivers, especially early in the game. Moving forward here to the second half, this is going to be after Anzalone's interception in man that helps Detroit push the lead to 21-3. So Jamar Chase is number 3 in the trips, and the tight end Gesicki is to the outside. There is a real run-pass tendency, or pattern, I should say, with Gesicki on versus some of the other tight ends, and that pattern has existed for a couple of years. Zach Taylor's offense is very pass-heavy, obviously, with Joe Burrow in there and or Jake Browning. But Chase as 3 is typically not a run play, so I think the Bengals are trying to outsmart Detroit here a little bit. It's a log play, so the right guard is going to pull to the other side of the center, and he's going to try to go block Jack Campbell. Orlando Brown, the left tackle, like I said, just really can't get out of his stance trying to base block Aidan Hutchinson here. It ends up being a 2-yard gain, even though Hutchinson kind of ends up on the ground. He just folds inside. This is really too easy. You're allowing Hutchinson to establish himself 1 yard up the field, get his hands on. Brown is even looking for the run play in. It's just a weird stance and something that I don't know why they expect it to be successful. But in any case, you'll get a look at it from the end zone angle. Hutchinson on the right-hand side. And then the blocking scheme, like I said, the center is blocking back on DJ Reader. The right guard is going to pull and try to log or lead up on Jack Campbell. Left guard stepping out to the defensive tackle, which I believe is Tyleik Williams. Campbell doesn't do this perfectly, in my opinion. He does end up on the outside shoulder of the guard, but you would want your left shoulder to take on the block. So he kind of ends up a little bit mid-stepping this. So you would want your same foot, same shoulder, more power, and a little bit lower pad level. Campbell's been playing at an incredibly high level. I mean, he did again yesterday as well, had a forced fumble and 11 tackles. But it works out, right? Because the running back tries to go to that side, tries to go to that gap. Campbell and Hutchinson are there. I think it ends up being a 2-yard gain. Third quarter, this is a 3rd and 3. This is one of 2 plays here where to spot shadow Hutchinson is difficult because him and Alex Anzalone are almost right on top of each other from the angle perspective that we have. This is the 3rd and 3. It's a 2-man situation, and I'll talk about this one at length here. I do wonder what the Chiefs and other teams are going to do in terms of attacking it, because if you can contain the quarterback with 4 and no additional player assigned, no 5th player, no inside linebacker dropping as a potential spy like the Lions used against Lamar Jackson, or at least a secondary contained player. If you can do this, it really takes away a lot of easy options for the offense. In addition to that, the matchup that we're looking at next week, if and when the Lions play this coverage, is Anzalone on Travis Kelce, and I love it. I love the fact that someone finally is going to be physical with the dude if this is the way that Anzalone plays this, meaning get hands on the tight end, contest space, do not allow free releases. That's one of the things that's annoyed me to no end about the way the Ravens have defended or not defended Travis Kelce. The Lions, Kelvin Shepherd, even going back to Aaron Glenn, and of course Dan Campbell, they believe in contesting space. That's, probably one of the reasons why there's so many penalties that occur at times, whether it's on Terrion Arnold, Amik Robertson, Brian Branch. They believe in their style of play, and it's working. Absolutely working. I'm interested to see how the Chiefs try to attack it if and when the Lions play this coverage. It's a stunt here by the Lions. They're crossing Muhammad over the midline, so he ends up in the front side A-gap, again, to the side of where Aidan Hutchinson lined up. It's a topside rush for Hutchinson. Muhammad is the guy, like I said, that's going to try to cross the midline and end up in that A-gap. It almost works out perfectly for the Lions. The ball's out quick. Like I said, it's a 3rd and 3. You really don't get a perspective here of Anzalone and Gesicki. The film is kind of grainy, number one, but you do get an idea of how closely guarded he was. If this is what you're forcing the quarterbacks to go to, this type of throw outside the bottom of the numbers to the sideline against Anzalone, I think that's what Kelvin Shepherd and Dan Campbell want. Have to talk about Anzalone for a moment. I know this is a Aidan Hutchinson video, but in consecutive weeks, he's been matched up with Mark Andrews, David Njoku at times, but more so Harold Fanning Jr., the rookie for the Browns. And then here, Gesicki. He's done a nice job in these situations. He did get called for a DPI yesterday. Somewhat of a soft call, maybe, but I think that Dan Campbell and Kelvin Shepherd are willing to live with those types of results. This is going to be the strip sack for Hutchinson that actually does count in the fourth quarter. You can see Detroit's up 28-10. It's a topside rush. It's a flea flicker. One thing to talk about is consistently you're seeing Hutchinson rush from one side and Barnes, not necessarily rush from the other. It's a poor decision by the Bengals to go with this flea flicker, and Hutchinson just completely wins against Orlando Brown Jr. He can't get out of his stance. He can't, and you'll see it from the end zone angle a little bit more clearly. They are very fortunate that Barnes wasn't in a rush alignment. This is consistent for what they're asking Barnes to do: play man on tight ends, and or sometimes fold back in if and when the quarterback escapes. It's been working so far. It's a random situation here where the ball ends up on the ground right in front of Orlando Brown Jr. Same play from the end zone angle. Here's Hutchinson. Here's Barnes. It's quite consistent. One rushes and one does not. Brown, in that weird stance that I've talked about a couple of times, really kind of Frankensteinish. His reaction here to Hutchinson, getting around the edge, high hands for Brown, can't hold on, and a huge moment for the Lions. If Detroit's able to recover this football, then really they have an opportunity to put the game away. They had so many opportunities to put the game away yesterday. I was a little frustrated, not necessarily at this time. The ball bounced right to him. Very fortunate for the Bengals. When Hutchinson is in this mode, this attack mode, he's as good as almost everybody in the league. I think he's playing at a first-team All-Pro rate right now. Unfortunately, 2 plays later, this is a 3rd and 14. It's a very frustrating moment to watch from an Amik Robertson standpoint, someone who I think played extremely well. It's been a great signing for Detroit. Coverage-wise, it's a sluggo route for Ja'Marr Chase. And Brian Branch is dropping down in what I would call a buzz cover 3. The line to gain is the 50-yard line for Cincinnati. Probably in 4-down mode anyway. Very surprising for me that Amik goes with this little sluggo look. Now, oftentimes on the backside of 3-by-1 formations, this is a 3-by-1 formation, there'll be a Louis, a solo, a man call for the backside X, whoever's covering the backside X. And so that might be why you're getting this obvious not zone turn by Amik Robertson. But he has help to the inside in the form of Brian Branch. If Ja'Marr Chase was actually going to run, a slant or an in cut, or bring this route in to near to the line to gain. So that's what makes it very disappointing and frustrating. As an aside, Barnes here is not rushing, so you're really talking about a 3-man rush. And Barnes, maybe he's in a spy mentality. Who knows what it's called? You'd like to, with Hutchinson being on a topside rush, at some point, you'd like to have someone filling, not necessarily in that B gap, but getting some kind of pressure up the middle in the quarterback's face. And I feel like as good as Hutchinson's been playing in 2025, that generally has not been there. There's basically been no fitter on that inside gap. Really poor look from Amik, like I said. that much separation on him on a 3rd and 14 late in the game with help to his inside. Again, I would call it a cover 3 buzz with Branch to the inside. You'd like to see that ball thrown with Branch breaking on it. And instead, you get Jamar Chase 64-yard touchdown that allows Cincinnati to close to 28-17. As an aside, and kind of somewhat related to at least one of the next 2 plays we're going to watch, I wonder about the depth of the Lions' defensive line. I talked about that in a reaction video. I know some people, probably didn't enjoy that aspect of it, but you're going to see an illustration of it. Now, the Bengals were in attack mode or pass mode in the 4th quarter, so the defensive line is being stressed. They're constantly rushing the quarterback. They're constantly having to get after him. You would take that every week, meaning you have a 2 or sometimes 3 touchdown lead, or at least a double-digit lead, and so the other team is having to throw the ball 100% of the time. Yes, that's an advantageous position for your defense, but I wonder about the depth of this defensive line if they're asked to do that consistently, and you kind of get an example of it here. Of course, I get to pick and choose the plays that I show you, but you're welcome to interpret this however you wish. It's late 4th quarter. Detroit's up 35-17. Hutchinson's going to go on another topside rush. Just don't feel like you're getting anything else accomplished at all in here. Aidan McNeil, of course, would help in this matter, but nothing here looks like it's going to give you an opportunity to get to the quarterback against high-level offensive lines, and this is not one of them. It's not fashionable or probably popular to be critical after a game like this, especially with the way that it ends with Barnes' sack that I'll show you here in a moment. But somewhat similar coverage to what we're describing already, 2-man, okay, even though there's a little bit of a different flavor to this one. So basically, Joseph is helping Flowers out on Jamar Chase, rightfully so, right? You don't have Terran Arnold at this point. I think Rock Ya-Sin has gone out as well. So you want to help on Chase. You don't want to leave him matched up solo. Watch when Browning gets out of here. The lack of pursuit that you have. These guys are tired. They've played a lot of the game, in my opinion. I think when I say that, I think there needs to be a talent infusion. Aidan McNeil would certainly fit the bill, right? He would certainly bring some pressure. He's got a great spin move, one of the best in the league. I think that it's needed, and you're more than welcome to disagree with me. At this point in time, Detroit's 4-1 and playing exceptional football on the defensive side to win against the better offensive lines, the better quarterbacks, which Jake Browning is not one of them. Neither is Joe Flacco or Dylan Gabriel, and Lamar Jackson didn't play great in the Week 3 win in Baltimore either. I think you're going to need someone else to be able to get to the quarterback besides just Aidan Hutchinson. Here's the rush by Hutchinson to the outside against Brown. Campbell is man on P. Ryan again, so it's not man-free where you typically have an inside linebacker or someone dropping out to be a secondary contained player on the quarterback. Barnes really not rushing at all here, and so once Hutchinson's topside rush doesn't win or can't get there, yeah, it forces Browning off his spot. He's clearly looking at Jamar Chase, right? You know, Kirby's over there to help out Flowers. He gets out of there, and just no ability for anyone else to get to the quarterback. These guys are tired. I think Mahomes and the Chiefs will have a plan from snap number one to deal with this coverage, this two-man, if you will. What that adjustment will be, I don't know. I'm not saying that it's going to work because so far, what Kelvin Shepard has done out of this two-man coverage has been spectacular. It befuddled the Ravens in Week 3. And it did a great job last week against the Browns. And for the most part, forced the Bengals into lower percentage choices in this game. In the fourth quarter, they clearly figured it out. They were able to get 21 points. I don't think it was a matter of who was on the field and who was not. The Bengals just were able to get the ball to a player, Jamar Chase, in situations where A, he made a great play, and B, the 64-yard touchdown, Amik made a really, really poor decision, if you ask me. Finally, the Barnes sack in the end zone that results in a safety. This was the third fantastic punt by Jake Fox. I think it was a short punt, in fact, really high. It only goes down as like a 37 or 38 or 39 yarder. Ends up being fair caught inside the 10, right at the 7-yard line. This is the very next snap. Like I said, Detroit's up 35-24. So it's a Tampa 2. So Amik is going to drop out into the flats here. I think that's Trey Flowers is going to drop out into the flats here. And so these safeties are rolling to a high alignment, but pre-snap it certainly looks like it could be two-man. The only difference is you can tell Anzalone isn't over here with the tight end. So when you're dealing with someone like Mahomes or Josh Allen or whoever, pre-snap they're going to know that it's not two-man because Alex Anzalone is, quote, in the wrong spot. They definitely chip Hutchinson up here. with the running back, and you'll see that a little bit more clearly from the end zone angle. And it's just a great move by Barnes. He doesn't really have to do much. Dylan Fairchild, the rookie from Georgia, not sure what he's looking at or responding to. I don't know about you, huge sigh of relief for me, man, when this happened, to put the game away finally, make it 37-24. I'll have a Barnes video out at some point this week. I don't know necessarily when that will be. Monday is moving by super quick for me, but he deserves it. He's playing extremely well, whether it's a spy situation, man on the tight end, man on running backs, into the boundary, having a great start to the season, if you ask me. So this is what the one-on-one that we're getting. How is that occurring? Well, DJ Reader is stepping to the center, and then he's going A-gap, into this gap right here. In addition to that, Muhammad from the other side is an outside contain rusher. They're chipping Hutchinson, so the Aidan Hutchinson effect is easily picked up on or easily discerned here right now. P-Run is chipping him, and then that just clears the path for the one-on-one because the running back is not able to help in that situation. Barnes just dips underneath. Great move. Underrated football player, in my opinion. Like I said last night during the reaction video, I've done multiple Derek Barnes videos. I did one after the playoff win against the Bucs 2 years ago. I did one before the 2024 season, and then I think I did one after he received a contract extension. This is, of course, an Aidan Hutchinson film study video. I think a lot of the things that are happening, the two-man schematic choices that Kelvin Shepherd is making, is related to Aidan Hutchinson. They know that he's playing at a high level. They know they can rely on him, and they're right. They're absolutely right. He's got 5 sacks so far. Could be 8 already. That's an incredible number through 5 games. Kelvin Shepherd's doing a great job, if you ask me. They're stopping or slowing down the run game so far. The Bengals are really never committed to the run game at all. But Detroit's allowing 92 rushing yards per game, and that's kind of ticked up a little bit by the 134 that the Bears were able to generate, I think, in week 2. Otherwise, no one has gotten above 85 rushing yards so far. Shepherd is consistently putting teams in these one-dimensional modes. And Hutchinson's a game-changing player. He's first-team All-Pro quality right now with the way that he's playing, just like last year at the beginning of 2024. I wish he had more help. I know you guys don't like me continuing to harp on that, but for some of these obvious passing situations where Muhammad is the D-end on the other side, I wish that Hutchinson had someone who could win more consistently one-on-one. I'm of the firm opinion you need more help there from a depth standpoint at the defensive line, and Aleem McNeil is going to provide that help, obviously. It is a tough 2-game stretch coming up. In no way, shape, or form do I expect or think that the Chiefs and the Bucs are just magically going to expose these coverages that no one else has been able to handle. I will, however, in the 2-man video for you guys, give you some of my thoughts on how Kansas City might attack it based on what other teams have tried to do so far. I wonder if the Lions kind of switch gears early, meaning the first couple of possessions, slow integrate that 2-man coverage, line up Anzalone on Kelsey to the tight end from a 2-high safety structure, and then make it shift into some other zone structure after the snap. The Chiefs really rely on pick and rub concepts a ton. If the Lions are able to slow down or outright stop the run game, they will put the Chiefs into the same type of grinder they've put everyone else in, which is you're one-dimensional now. We can play 2-man, allow Hutchinson to get some wins. Hutchinson will have some great matchups in that game. Jawan Taylor, the guy who false starts or lines up too deep on pretty much every damn snap. And then the rookie Josh Simmons, who I think is super talented on the other side. Hutchinson's been the guy delivering the knockout punch generally, but this week it was Barnes with a brilliant play late in the fourth quarter, inside 2 minutes, in fact, to finally put a nail in the Bengals' coffin. I appreciate you guys' time. If you checked out this whole video, as you may know, likes and comments really help drive the engagement, or increase the engagement, such that the videos are pushed out to larger audiences. So if you enjoy my work and you'd like to see it shared among a larger audience to help me generate more revenue from it, then please like the video and or comment. And then finally, if you think other Lions fans would enjoy my commentary and some of the plays that I chose to use to illustrate how Aidan Hutchinson and others played at a really high level against the Cincinnati Bengals, then please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.